If you enjoy American love stories, please consider subscribing and comment what you need next.
Dear God, please heal Mr. Vincent. We ask you to make him well again.
Amen.
The words float through Cherry's mind before she even knows she's thinking them. Maybe she's praying, maybe she's pleading, maybe she's doing both. The hospital in Los Angeles is too bright, too cold, too loud. Nurses rush past with clipboards clutched to their chests. A monitor shrieks in a tone that makes bones tighten. Someone shouts orders down the hallway. Someone else slams open a cabinet searching for the right equipment. Vincent doesn't hear any of it. He's lying on the bed, motionless, skin washed out, lips turning the wrong shade, breath barely there. The chemo drip hangs beside him like an hourglass with liquid sand. An oxygen mask fogs and clears, until suddenly it stops clearing. The flat line isn't like in the movies. No long beep, just silence. A silence that steals every heartbeat in the room. Cherry's hands fly to her mouth. She can't speak. She can't move. She stands in the doorway like she's been rooted to the floor. She was only supposed to drop off Torvin's backpack. She wasn't supposed to be here right now. She wasn't supposed to care like this. She wasn't supposed to feel her chest break open. Vincent was supposed to make it. A nurse grabs paddles. Another calls out technical terms Cherry doesn't understand. The crash cart bangs against the doorframe as they pull it in. Someone shouts his weight, his age, his chemo cycle count. Someone else starts compressions, counting under their breath. Cherry hears every number, every push, every second slipping away. She whispers again, to no one in particular, "Please, God, not like this." Her pulse rattles in her ears. Her palms sweat. Her throat burns. She wants to run, but she can't, because there's something about Vincent even now, something stubborn in the way his fingers twitch when the current hits him, something human in the way his chest rises for half a second after every shock, something unfinished in the way he refuses to let go. Cherry aches to reach him, but her feet stay frozen. He's a billionaire. She's a delivery worker. Their lives should never have touched. And yet, there she is, praying harder for him than she has ever prayed for herself. A doctor leans over Vincent, voice lowering in a tone that tastes like endings. "We're losing him." Cherry's eyes burn. She grips the doorframe to keep herself from collapsing. She doesn't want to love him. Not like this. Not while he's falling apart. Not while she doesn't know if he'll ever stand again. But the heart is selfish. It chooses without permission. It reaches before the mind can stop it. She takes one step forward. The monitor flattens. Outside the room, people walk by without knowing they are passing by a moment that will change everything. Inside, Cherry stares at Vincent's still body and feels her soul lean toward him, like it remembers something he hasn't said yet. She closes her eyes and breathes. If love has any power at all, let it be enough tonight. There are moments in life that split everything into before and after. Before Vincent collapsed, Cherry thought she understood what boundaries were. Before she met his son, she believed connection had a price she was unwilling to pay. Before she stepped into this hospital room, she thought love was a luxury reserved for people who weren't still healing from disappointment. But after hearing the monitor fall quiet, after watching a man who never asked for help finally need it, after realizing she would rather fall apart beside him than walk away untouched, she knows better. Her heart isn't silent anymore. Cherry steps closer, a single inch at a time, like the floor might break if she moves too fast. Outside the doorway, a janitor pauses, watching through the glass. Even he seems unsure whether to breathe. A thought runs through Cherry's mind. Quiet, trembling, honest. Ever loved someone you weren't ready for? Because she didn't plan this. She didn't plan to care about the man in the bed, the one everyone else sees as a diagnosis. She didn't plan to memorize the sound of his voice, or the way his hands look when they're trying not to shake. She didn't plan for a 6-year-old boy with hopeful eyes to call her every night, whispering updates like prayers. She didn't plan to feel anything. But she does. And the admission hits her harder than the alarms ever could. She is terrified, not because Vincent is dying, but because she is learning, too late, that she wants him to live. A nurse brushes past her, whispering something urgent. Cherry barely hears it. Her heartbeat is louder than sirens. She swallows hard and forces out a breath that doesn't feel like it belongs to her. It feels borrowed, like the world is lending her strength on credit, like she has to pay it back with something that hurts. Her voice cracks as she speaks, not to the doctors, not to the nurses, not to the machines, but to the man she never meant to fall for. Vincent, if you can hear anything, please stay. Her words tremble but stand tall, like they're learning how to survive too. Another voice breaks across the room, a small one, shaken, heart-wounded, the sound of a life too young to understand loss. Please don't die. The words don't come out brave. They don't come out steady. They fall from Torvin's mouth like they've been dropped by hands too small to carry them. He pushes past the nurse, trying to block his path. He squeezes between bodies meant to protect him. He climbs onto the edge of the hospital bed like he's climbing a mountain, gasping for a hold. His knees dig into the mattress. His fingers clutch his father's wrist. His tears slide down his face and fall onto Vincent's arm like baptism water. Daddy, please don't die. There is nothing childish about the way he begs. There is no innocence in his voice. It is pain, pure and unfiltered. A sound that doesn't ask for permission. A sound that slices through every heartbeat in the room. One of the nurses tries to pull him away, but Torvin shakes his head so hard his curls blur. No, he's not done yet. He's not done loving me. Cherry's breath falters. Her body reacts before her mind can speak. She reaches out and steadies Torvin's back. She doesn't push him. She doesn't pull him. She just holds him, like maybe touch is the only thing anchoring him to this world. Baby, she whispers. He hears you. Keep talking. Torvin presses his cheek to Vincent's chest, right over the stillness that should be a heartbeat. You promised. He cries. You promised you were going to watch me play soccer and fix Mommy's picture frame and take me fishing if the doctor said yes. You promised you weren't going to leave like she did. You said you don't break promises. Cherry closes her eyes. Her heart shatters like something made of glass and memories. The doctor pauses the compressions. On my count, charging. Torvin grabs Cherry's shirt with trembling hands. You're the lady that God sent, he chokes. Please make him hear us. Cherry's knees weaken, not because she believes she has power, but because a child believes she might. She cups Torvin's face. She wipes his tears with the sleeve of her delivery uniform. She whispers, I'm right here. We're not leaving him. He nods. He doesn't loosen his grip. He doesn't stop crying. Cherry looks at Vincent's face. The hollowness, the exhaustion, the fight that Chemo tried to steal. She studies him like she's trying to memorize him. Just in case love isn't enough. Just in case prayer needs a partner. Then she leans forward, close enough for her forehead to touch his. Please, she says, voice trembling. He needs you. She swallows the rest. This isn't about her. Not yet. Torvin's sobs shudder through the room. A nurse's voice wavers. Clear. The shock rolls through Vincent's chest. His body jerks. His son cries louder. Daddy, stay. I'm right here. Don't leave me too. Cherry holds him tighter. Everything feels like it's breaking. Cherry can't explain what her body decides to do. It happens in one motion. Swift, instinctive, desperate. She lowers her face to Vincent's, close enough that her breath mixes with his, close enough that her hope carries weight, close enough that if God is measuring faith by inches, she wants to be counted. Her lips brush his, not romantic, not soft, a plea disguised as contact. A kiss that isn't about wanting but about keeping. A kiss that tastes like fear and unfinished stories. She breathes into him. Stay, she whispers, mouth against his. A breath, a prayer, a command, all in one. Cherry pulls back a fraction, her forehead touching his. Her voice breaks open. If you can't fight for you, fight for him. If you can't fight for him, fight for what we haven't had the courage to name yet. Torvin leans forward, tiny hands gripping his father's shoulder. Daddy, She's right here, he sobs. Don't make me grow up without you. His words land like thunder on dry ground. Vincent's lips twitch, barely, a flutter, a spark, a sign life might still be in reach. A nurse gasps. Another leans in to check the monitor. Cherry's heart slams against her ribs. She presses another breath into his mouth, slow, steady, willing her lungs to lend him strength. A faint cough slips from Vincent's throat, small, fragile, but real. The monitor stutters, a flicker of sound, a returning pulse. The kind of miracle that doesn't ask permission before arriving. Cherry's tears fall onto his cheeks, warm meeting cold. Torvin's eyes widen. You heard us. He shouts, voice shaking like something holy. Daddy, you heard us. Please come back. Vincent's eyelids flutter, muscles tighten. A sound pushes through his chest, like a door unlocking in the dark. Cherry grabs his hand. Don't make me lose faith in you, she whispers. Not a threat, not an accusation, just the naked truth of someone who has learned how fragile miracles can be. Vincent swallows. A breath follows. Then another. The monitor's line bumps upward. Irregular, stubborn, but alive. A doctor exhales, shoulders dropping. Pulse is returning. He's back. Let's stabilize. Cherry doesn't move. She stays right there, forehead against his, grounding him, not letting the world take him again. Torvin lets out a sound that doesn't have a name in any language. A cry, a laugh, a thank you. Cherry kisses Vincent's temple once. Not an invitation, just a promise. I'm not going anywhere. Her voice is quiet, but it carries. It reaches places inside him that medicine never touched. It lands where fear used to live. Vincent's lips part. A whisper slips out. Ragged, barely there. Cherry. It's broken. It's small. It's enough. Cherry answers with the only thing she can say without falling apart. I'm here. The room stops feeling like a battlefield. It feels like a beginning. If you're still here with us, if your heart felt that moment too, please like this video and comment hope below. Your support helps YouTube push this story out so more hearts can find it. Los Angeles at 10 a.m. carries a different kind of noise than hospitals. There's laughter, music from someone's old speaker, the hum of people living their lives without counting heartbeats on monitors. Cherry isn't here for leisure. She's between delivery routes, sipping lukewarm coffee from a chipped cup she keeps in her glove compartment. The park was supposed to be a split-second escape, 10 minutes of normal before she returns to a world that doesn't pause for anyone's sadness. She sits on a bench beneath a jacaranda tree, lavender petals scattered like confetti from a celebration she wasn't invited to. Her delivery uniform smells faintly of vanilla and sweat. Her braids are pulled back, sunglasses shading eyes still swollen from the night before. She doesn't want to think about the hospital room, the flatline, or how a man she barely knows whispered her name like it was the last word he trusted. She just wants to breathe. A child's voice interrupts the moment. It's soft at first, hesitant, like he isn't certain he's allowed to speak to strangers. Excuse me? Cherry lowers her sunglasses and turns. A little boy stands in front of her, clutching a wrinkled drawing to his chest. His curls are unruly, cheeks flushed from running, and his eyes, big, brown, hopeful, scan her face like he's searching for something familiar. Cherry straightens. Hey, are you lost? He shakes his head. No, I know where I am. I've been here since the talent show ended. His sneakers drag against the pavement. Everyone went home already. Where's your ride? He stares at the drawing instead of answering. On the paper is a woman. Dark skin, head wrap, smile so bright it feels like a memory instead of art. Cherry recognizes features she's seen in mirrors, and in dreams where love doesn't feel like a punishment. The boy studies her again. You look like her. Not exact, but close. Cherry tries to keep her voice steady. Is she your mom? He nods once, then hesitates. Was. The air shifts. Cherry knows the weight of past tense, like an ache in the bones. She pats the bench beside her. Wanna sit? Torvin climbs up, legs dangling, shoes knocking gently against the metal frame. Cherry waits. Sometimes silence is safer than questions. He points at her uniform. Do you deliver things everywhere? Pretty much, she answers. LA's big, though. I still get lost sometimes. He smiles. That means you're brave. Cherry blinks. Why? Because it's hard to go places when you don't know if you'll find what you're looking for. Cherry's breath catches. This child speaks like someone who has watched adults fail and decided to grow up anyway. She shifts slightly. What are you looking for, T? He touches the drawing, thumb tracing the woman's eyes. Home. Cherry doesn't respond. Not yet. Not when her own heart is pacing like it's waiting for permission to feel something again. A breeze carries the scent of sunscreen and wet grass. Children scream joyfully in the distance, but here on this bench, there is a pocket of quiet. For a moment, Cherry forgets to be guarded. She forgets the hospital. She forgets the flatline. She forgets the fear that loving someone with an uncertain future might break her again. All she sees is a child who shouldn't have to speak like this. All she feels is the urge to protect someone who isn't hers. And without realizing it, her walls begin to soften. Cherry doesn't expect the question. It crashes into the moment with no warning, knocking the air out of her lungs. Are you my dad's new wife? She looks at him sharply, unsure if she misheard. What? Torvin tilts his head, innocent and earnest. You remind me of someone he described. Someone he said he wishes he could meet again. Someone who stays when things get hard. Cherry's heart stumbles. She unclenches her fingers from the coffee cup so she doesn't crush it. She manages a breath. T, I don't even know your dad. He holds out the drawing like proof. But you look like the woman he talks about when he can't sleep. A beat. He calls her sunlight. Cherry feels something shift behind her ribs. Not butterflies. Too painful for that. More like a wound, learning how to breathe. She clears her throat. I think you're confused. I'm not anyone's sunlight. I'm just tired. Torvin doesn't flinch. He tucks his legs beneath him, like he's preparing to stay until she understands. My dad says sunlight doesn't know it's sunlight. It just shines, even when it doesn't mean to. She swallows hard. That sounds like something a poet would say. He used to be. Before he got sick. Cherry's spine straightens. She hears the word like a trigger. Sick. Her mind races to the hospital room, to Vincent's body jolting under electric current, to the sound of a pulse returning like a miracle dragging itself uphill. She can't connect the dots yet. She doesn't want to. But the universe is already drawing the lines. Torvin hugs the drawing to his chest again. If you're not his new wife, maybe you could be his friend. Cherry forces a laugh, but it trembles. That's not how life works, baby. He shrugs. It's how faith works. Cherry looks away. Not because she disagrees, but because she's terrified that he might be right. The boy studies her one more time. His next words land with precision. Adults always say they're not ready, but nobody's ready for the people who change their lives. Cherry is struck silent. It feels like he's reading her pulse, like he's speaking to the part of her that kissed a man back into existence only hours ago. She leans forward, resting her elbows on her knees. Your dad doesn't know me. Torvin smiles. A sad, certain curve. He will. The truth enters the conversation without ceremony. My dad is in chemo. Cherry stops breathing. Torvin continues, voice steady in a way it shouldn't be. He's been fighting for a long time. Sometimes the medicine works. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes he forgets to eat. Sometimes he forgets to smile. Cherry's throat tightens. I'm only 6, he whispers. I don't know how to make him better. But I do know something. Cherry turns to him. What's that? He looks up, eyes shining with a grief too big for his age. He needs someone who doesn't leave. Every word hits Cherry like a memory she tried to bury. People leaving, doors closing, beds feeling cold. Her heart learning to protect itself even when it wanted to reach. Her voice lowers. Why do you think I wouldn't leave? Torvin doesn't hesitate. Because you stayed when you didn't have to. Cherry's breath trembles. When? His next words confirm what fate has already decided. At the hospital. You held his hand. A pause. You said you're not going anywhere. Cherry's world tilts. He saw her. She was in that room. She whispered to a man who couldn't answer. She kissed hope back into a mouth that tasted like endings. She promised something she never meant to say out loud. Cherry's pulse roars like ocean in her ears. You were there? She whispers. Torvin nods. I saw you. I remember you. Daddy said your name when he woke up. He said Cherry like it hurt to say it, and healed him at the same time. Cherry covers her face with her hands. She wants to deny it. She wants to pretend it was just a moment. But moments don't feel like this. The boy leans against her arm gently, not demanding, just present. You saved him. Cherry shakes her head. I didn't. The doctors did. Torvin smiles softly. Doctors fixed his body. You fixed his reason. Cherry feels her soul crack open. She whispers, I don't know how to be what he needs. Torvin answers with 6 words that feel like prophecy. You just have to stay human. Cherry stands. She needs air. She needs clarity. She needs distance. But Torvin hops down and grabs her sleeve. Wait. Look. He points across the park. Cherry follows his gaze. Near a shaded gazebo, a man sits in a wheelchair. Even from here, distance blurs his features, but certain truths don't need clarity to be recognized. The posture, the exhaustion curled in the spine, the oxygen tank beside him, the tremble in his fingers as he reaches for a cup, the scent of hospital disinfectant that memory paints into the breeze. It's him, Vincent. He doesn't see them. He's staring into space. Jaw clenched like surviving has become a sport. He looks like a monument built from broken promises and stubborn hope. The sun lands on his face, illuminating the place where death once tried to take him. Cherry's knees weaken. Torvin whispers. He leaves the hospital for small walks now. The doctor said, sunlight helps. He pauses, eyes drifting to Cherry. So I brought him here. I thought maybe sunlight needed company. Cherry stares at Vincent as if she's trying to decide whether to run or fall. She doesn't move. She doesn't breathe. Not until Vincent turns his head slightly, eyes searching the park, brow furrowed as though he senses something familiar in the air. He doesn't see her. Not yet. But his gaze pauses in her direction, just long enough for her heart to betray her. Cherry steps back, overwhelmed. I can't. Torvin shakes his head. Yes, you can. He's alive because you were there. Cherry watches the man who survived electric current and prayer and the sound of his son begging him to stay. She whispers to herself, I don't know if I'm strong enough for this. Torvin answers what she didn't say aloud. You don't have to be strong. Just be here. Cherry kneels, bringing herself to eye level with Torvin. Her voice is soft, but it doesn't shake. I can't promise anything. I can't promise forever. I can't promise happy endings. I can't promise I won't get scared. Torvin nods. I know, but I can promise I won't pretend I didn't meet you. Or your dad. Torvin smiles like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. Cherry stands. She wipes her palms against her uniform. She doesn't walk toward Vincent. Not yet. But she doesn't walk away either. Her feet root to the ground like something inside her has decided that running isn't an option anymore. She looks at the camera of life, the invisible audience watching through the doorway of fate, and exhales. Sometimes blessings don't look like beginnings. They look like strangers. A breath, a heartbeat, a decision waiting to be made. If this moment touched your heart, if you believe some meetings are divine timing, please comment the word blessed below. Your engagement helps YouTube show this story to more people who might need a reminder that love still exists. Cherry's delivery route takes her through Laurel Canyon that afternoon, the radio low, the memory of the park still tugging behind her ribs like a string tied to something unfinished. The city blurs past, palm trees, murals, glittering stores full of things she will never buy. She tries to focus on the road, but her mind wanders back to the boy with eyes too old for 6. The one who spoke like love was oxygen and someone had been stealing his supply. Her phone buzzes in the cup holder. Unknown number. Again, She almost ignores it, until a small voice cracks through the speaker, thin and frantic. "Cherry? Cherry, please." Daddy fell down. He's not waking up. Her grip tightens. "Torvin, where are you?" "At home." "I don't know." "The bedroom." He won't get up. He's breathing, but it's weird. "I can't move him." "Cherry, help." She doesn't remember turning the wheel. She doesn't remember checking her mirrors. She just drives. Traffic is a blur of horns and brake lights, her breath trapped somewhere between prayer and panic. "Stay on the phone," she says. "Tell me what you see." Torvin's small gasps crackle through the line. He's on the floor. He's cold. He looks like he did at the hospital. Cherry's heart drops. "I'm coming." "Keep talking, okay? You are not alone." The mansion is bigger than she expected. Tall gates, white stone walls, the kind of place where silence echoes. It looks like money, but it feels like fear. She leaves the van running, bolts up the driveway and bursts through the unlocked door. "Torvin," she calls, "in here." She follows his voice up the stairs, past framed photos of a life that doesn't match the man she found half dead under hospital lights. Vacation pictures, smiles. A wedding portrait where Vincent stands beside a woman who looks like the drawing Torvin carried. Sunlight in human form. Before illness, before abandonment, before expiration dates were stamped onto futures. Cherry shoves her fear down and rushes into the bedroom. Vincent lies on the floor, curled toward the bed like he was reaching for it before his body betrayed him. Sweat clings to his skin. His breathing is shallow, sharp pulls followed by terrifying pauses. The smell of chemo lingers in the air, metal and salt, and something that feels like sorrow. Cherry drops beside him. "Vincent? Vincent, can you hear me?" No answer. Torvin kneels across from her, eyes glossy. He wouldn't stop shaking. He said he felt heavy. Then he just fell. Cherry grabs her phone and dials 911. Male, late 40s, collapsed. Chemo patient, breathing unstable. "We need an ambulance. Fast." She touches Vincent's cheek, warm but fading. His eyelids flutter, once, like he's fighting his way through sand. "Hey," she whispers, "don't leave him like this. Not again." Maybe the universe hears her. Maybe someone else does. Because Vincent's hand twitches, just enough to break her heart twice. Once because he's alive, once because it still might not be enough. The sirens make it feel real. Firefighters flood the room, speaking in clipped sentences, their presence taking up all the air. Cherry stays close, but out of the way, guiding Torvin to stand behind her. He clutches her shirt like it's the last safe thing in the world. Vincent's pulse is irregular. They place him on oxygen, lift him onto a stretcher. His head lolls, his fingers curl inward, like his body is trying to hold on to itself. Cherry walks alongside as they wheel him out, unable to look away. At the ambulance, a medic blocks her. "Family only." Torvin's voice breaks. "She is." The medic pauses, glances at Cherry, then nods. "Fine. Stay to the side. Don't interfere." Inside the ambulance, Vincent's breaths sound like borrowed minutes. Cherry holds the railing, knuckles white. Torvin sits next to her, shoulders trembling. She places her hand over his, covering his fear with warmth. She isn't sure she has the right to give. The medic asks questions. When did he last eat? Last dose? Last chemo cycle? Cherry answers what she remembers. Mondays and Thursdays. 4-hour sessions. Ginger tea helps 15 minutes in. Ice chips instead of water on bad days. Vincent hates the third 4 attempt. He apologizes when he throws up, even though it isn't his fault. The medic nods. You know him well. Cherry almost says, I shouldn't. But she doesn't. At the hospital, everything moves too quickly. Nurses take him. Machines surround him. Paperwork appears. Cherry's hands shake as she signs where they tell her. The pen feels heavier than logic. Torvin crawls into her lap in the waiting room, curls pressing into her chin. She holds him because she doesn't know what else to do. She's not his mother. She's not family. She's not even sure what she is. But she knows what she refuses to be. Someone who leaves. Minutes stretch. Doctors come and go. Someone finally approaches. He's stable. We're running labs. He needs rest. Torvin exhales like he's been underwater. Cherry stands, her legs stiff, and asks, "Can we see him?" The doctor nods. Inside, Vincent looks less like a storm and more like the calm after it, wreckage and hope sharing the same bed. His eyelids flutter. He turns his head slightly. Cherry steps closer. His voice is a scrape of gravel. Sun, light. The word lands on her skin, like confession. She sits. It's Cherry. Torvin climbs onto the bed, careful, small palms on his father's chest. "I got help," she answered. "She came." Vincent's eyes shift to Cherry, unfocused, but searching. "You didn't have to." Cherry shakes her head. "I know, but she did." Inside her, something rearranges itself. The room is quiet, not silent. Machines hum, nurses murmur, footsteps echo. But here, around this bed, the world slows down. Cherry adjusts the blanket, smoothing it over Vincent's legs. Her fingers brush his, unintended. And the contact sends something unnamed through both of them. Vincent inhales sharply. Not painful, startled. Cherry pulls back. "Sorry." "Don't," he interrupts, voice thin. Their eyes meet. This is not romance. This is not desire. This is recognition. Recognition of someone who held breath for you. Recognition of someone who ran toward fear instead of away. Recognition of someone who saw you fall and said, "Get up. I'll wait." Cherry swallows. Her throat tastes like vulnerability. Vincent's fingers move, slow but deliberate, and rest against her wrist. His touch is warm, even through weakness. Their proximity does something dangerous. Cherry leans forward to check the line on the fourth. Vincent turns his head at the same moment. Their faces brush, cheek to lips. A collision made of exhaustion and instinct. Her lips graze the corner of his mouth. Barely, but enough. Enough to send heat to her face. Enough to draw a breath from him. Enough to make time hold itself accountable. Cherry jerks back, eyes widening. "I didn't. That wasn't." Vincent's voice is low. "It's okay." Torvin watches from the foot of the bed, expression unfazed. It happens when people care. Cherry's cheeks warm. "That's not." Vincent cuts her off with a faint smile. "Thank you. For today, for the hospital, for him." Cherry tries to smile back. It wobbles. "Don't thank me. I'm not sure I know how to handle any of this." Vincent looks at her like he's memorizing her confusion. Nobody does. Not at first. For the first time, it feels like they are speaking the same language. Visiting hours stretch toward evening. Cherry stays, not hovering, not smothering, just present. She helps Torvin eat crackers from a vending machine. She adjusts Vincent's pillow when nurses are busy. She leans back in the chair, head tilted, watching a man who fought death twice in 1 week and still refuses to let go. Vincent stares at the ceiling. This place doesn't feel like anything. Too many memories stitched into the walls. Cherry nods. Hospitals feel like waiting rooms for hope. Vincent turns, slow. "You speak like you've been here before." "Not here," she answers. "But I've waited. I've watched people fight battles I couldn't win for them." He studies her face, searching for the history she didn't give him. "You don't have to tell me," he says gently. "I just want you to know I see you." Cherry's breath catches. Nobody has said that to her in years. Torvin leans forward, head on his father's shoulder. "Cherry, can I tell you a secret?" She nods. "Yeah, the mansion isn't home anymore," he whispers. "Home feels like when Daddy breathes right, when somebody holds the room together." Cherry feels the words settle in her chest. Vincent closes his eyes, voice barely audible. "Sometimes home is a person, not a place." Cherry looks at him, really looks. Something inside her responds. "Then, let's make sure you stay." The next morning, Vincent is more aware. Eyes clearer, voice steadier. A nurse brings papers, medication schedules, a list of numbers to call. Cherry gathers her bag to leave, mind spinning. She doesn't know what today means, or tomorrow. She just knows she stayed. Vincent reaches for the bedside drawer and pulls out an envelope. It's thick, too thick, and has her name written in shaky handwriting. For yesterday, he says, for the routes you missed, for everything you shouldn't have had to do. You didn't sign up for this. Cherry stares at the envelope. Money has never been an enemy, but it's never been a friend either. It's a transaction, and she refuses to let this moment become one. She pushes the envelope back gently. I didn't stay for your money. Vincent blinks. Then why? Cherry exhales. Because someone should. Because your son shouldn't be alone in this. Because I know what it feels like to wait for footsteps that never come back. He looks at her like her truth is more shocking than the flat line. Cherry steps back. I won't let this be a job. Vincent's fingers curl around the envelope. Then what is it? Cherry answers with a tremor in her voice. Human. Silence follows. Not cold, not awkward, just reverent. Torvin walks around the bed and takes Cherry's hand. Can you come back tomorrow? Cherry hesitates. Vincent waits. Finally, she nods. I'll try. Torvin grins like someone who just found a map. Vincent whispers, Thank you. Cherry turns to leave, pausing at the doorway. She doesn't look back when she says, Don't make me regret believing you want to live. Cherry never meant to learn the language of chemotherapy, but she does. Slowly, like memorizing footsteps in a dark room. Mondays and Thursdays, 7:45. Check-in, 8:12 vitals, 8:34 line. A trembling hush in the room when the nurse begins the drip. Like everyone is trying not to disturb hope while it's working. She doesn't hover. She doesn't play nurse. She just takes the seat by the window, the one Vincent keeps glancing at as if making sure she's still there. At first, she tells herself she's doing this for Torvin, for the boy who shouldn't be carrying a world like this on shoulders that small. But after the third session, she stops pretending. She's here for all of them, even herself. Chemo has a rhythm, and she adapts to it. She brings ginger candies for the metallic nausea. She holds Vincent's hand when the second needle attempt fails. She counts breaths with him when his chest tightens. She reads to him when exhaustion makes words heavy. Sometimes they barely talk. Sometimes silence feels like the safest intimacy. There's a moment, Thursday morning, when Vincent leans his head back against the chair and closes his eyes. His voice is rough, but it's the honesty that makes Cherry's chest ache. You make this less ugly. Cherry looks up from her book. Chemo isn't ugly. The disease is this. She gestures to the room, the machines, the nurses navigating fatigue like artists. This is survival. Vincent's gaze slides to hers. Some days survival feels like losing slowly. Cherry leans back in her chair, crossing her ankles, then loos loudly. If you have to fall apart, shake the damn building. Vincent huffs a breath, almost a laugh. You talk like your heart has scars. I talk like someone who learned to stitch her own wounds, she replies, voice steady but gentle. He studies her for a long moment, then looks away, not dismissively, but because he's scared of how much he wants to look longer. As weeks pass, the nurses start greeting Cherry with familiarity. You're back, one says. Cherry smiles. We're trying a routine. Vincent murmurs, routine is easier than fear. Cherry's response is soft. Fear is easier when someone sits with you in it. He doesn't answer. He doesn't need to. His hand finds hers. Not gripping, just resting. A quiet admission that her presence isn't accessory. It's anchor. Their rhythm becomes something the hospital recognizes. Vincent's vitals. Cherry's voice. Torvin coloring by the window. A small witness to a world trying to knit itself back together. One morning, Vincent tries to stand on his own. He gets halfway upright before his knees buckle. Cherry lunges forward, catching his arm. Easy. I can do it, he mutters, frustration sharp in his voice. Cherry steadies him, one arm around his back. His muscles tremble like they're learning to exist again. Doing it doesn't mean doing it alone, she says. He leans more weight into her than he intends, jaw tight with embarrassment. She pretends not to notice, letting him have whatever pride is left. He clutches the 4-pole as she helps ease him back into the chair, but his grip slips. Cherry reaches to steady his hand, and somehow her forehead bumps his. Soft, unplanned. They freeze. His breath ghosts across her skin. Cherry doesn't pull away. Not immediately. She lets the moment sit. A quiet exchange that doesn't ask to be named. Vincent swallows hard. I don't want this to feel like weakness. Cherry presses her forehead to his gently, voice barely above a whisper. Then let it feel like being human. Their breaths sink for a moment. A heartbeat. A pause. A beginning. Cherry places her palm on his cheek. Grounding, not claiming. Vincent's voice cracks. I didn't think I'd live long enough to feel this. Cherry's response is a whisper against his skin. Feel it anyway. She presses a kiss to his forehead. Light, intentional, reverent. Not romance yet. Not even confession. Just an acknowledgement. I see you. I'm not going anywhere. His grip tightens on her sleeve. A silent plea she pretends not to read too deeply. In that small room, under fluorescent lights that buzz and flicker, Cherry gives Vincent something Chemo can't dilute. Dignity, warmth, a reason to reach for another sunrise. While Vincent rests, Torvin sits cross-legged on the floor, crayons scattered around him. He's working on something with the intensity of a scientist discovering fire. Cherry kneels. What are you creating? He grins. Magic. He holds up a drawing. Shaky lines, soft colors. 3 stick figures holding hands beneath a bright yellow sun. One figure wears braids. One has a beard. One has a tiny crown. Cherry blinks. Is that me? Torvin nods. That's you being sunlight. Cherry's breath stumbles. I thought that was your mom. Torvin's expression softens. Not sad, but sacred. It was. But light doesn't run out. It just moves. It finds new windows. Cherry closes her eyes for a second. It's too much and not enough all at once. She pulls him into a hug, his curls pressing against her collarbone. You have a heart that scares me. Torvin mumbles. Daddy says the same thing about you. Cherry laughs, startled, because she didn't know Vincent said anything like that. When Vincent wakes, Torvin rushes over and shows him the drawings. Vincent looks at Cherry, emotions flickering like candles in wind. He clears his throat, voice raw. He used to draw us with 4 people. Before she left, Cherry's chest tightens. And now? 3, Vincent answers. But he's starting to believe numbers can change. Cherry swallows. Numbers don't scare me. Vincent meets her eyes. No walls, no bravado, just vulnerability that insists on being seen. People scare me more, he admits quietly. Cherry nods. People scared me too. Until now. It happens after a session that leaves Vincent drained. His fingers twitch when he tries to lift his water. Cherry takes the cup and brings it to his lips. He drinks, then pushes her hand away, not harshly, but with a tremor of pride. I don't want to need you, he says. Cherry stills. The air shifts. Vincent keeps going, voice shaking. Everyone I've ever needed has left. My ex-wife, my body, my future. I'm so tired of building homes in people who decide I'm temporary. Cherry sets the cup down slowly, every movement intentional. She doesn't interrupt. She lets him unravel without offering tape. Vincent continues, a quiet confession breaking through his defenses. If I need you, and you go, I don't think I'll survive the grief. Not this time. Not like this. Cherry sits, folding her hands in her lap. She meets his gaze directly, not flinching, not softening the truth. Then don't need me. Vincent's brow furrows. What? Cherry leans closer, voice steady. Don't need me. Want me. He blinks, startled. Cherry continues, words gentle but sharp. Need is dependency. Need is desperation. Need is expecting me to carry you. Want is choice. Want is waking up and choosing to let me in. Want is letting me stand beside you, not in front of you. She touches his wrist lightly. I won't be the crutch that breaks. I'll be the door that stays open. Vincent's eyes shine, not tears, but realization. I've never known the difference. Cherry nods, then learn. With me, The room is quiet enough to hear heartbeats. Vincent whispers, "I don't know how." Cherry smiles softly. "Start here. Want me to stay? That's it. Nothing else." His voice is a breath. "I do." Vincent reaches for her hand, slowly, like he's afraid it might vanish. Cherry lets him lace their fingers together. No promise, no contract, just presence. She leans in, pressing her lips to the corner of his mouth. Not a full kiss, not yet. A brush of warmth, an answer to questions neither of them knew how to ask. Cherry whispers against his skin, "Then want me instead." Vincent exhales shakily, forehead dropping to hers. He kisses her hairline, hesitant, reverent, like his body is learning a language it thought it forgot. "I'm afraid," he admits. Cherry cups his jaw. "Good. Fear means you're not numb. Fear means this matters." Torvin watches from the doorway, smiling like someone who has been praying for this exact scene. Cherry turns, holding out her hand to him. "Come here, baby." Torvin rushes forward, climbing into the bed between them. Vincent wraps an arm around his son. Cherry rests her head on Vincent's shoulder. Torvin leans his cheek against her chest. For the first time, it feels like something new is being built. Not to replace the past, but to grow beside it. Cherry whispers, "For Vincent, for Torvin, for herself. I won't promise forever, but I will promise right now, and right now, I'm here." Vincent closes his eyes. Right now is enough. Cherry breathes him in, the scent of hospital sheets and mint drops and survival. She presses a kiss to his temple. Right now is the beginning. The monitor hums steadily. The chemo drip ticks. Their hands stay locked. And for a moment, the world stops hurting. Cherry never quits the delivery job. Even when mornings start beside Vincent's hospital bed, even when nights end with her sleeping in the recliner outside his room, even when Torvin clings to her like she's the warmest place he's ever known, she still wakes at 5:45 a.m., ties her braids back, pulls on her uniform, and steps into the world with the same determination she had before Vincent's pulse stuttered back to life under her hands. The job is her anchor. Not glamorous, not easy, but hers. She delivers packages to artists in Echo Park, lawyers in Beverly Hills, a daycare in Culver City where toddlers wave through glass doors like she's a superhero. She delivers to houses that smell like lavender and loneliness, condos where music blares through open windows, apartments where doorbells don't work. Every stop reminds her she exists outside fear, outside sickness, outside waiting rooms. She likes that. She needs that. And Vincent never asks her to stop working. But on days he watches her tie her boots. Something changes behind his eyes, a flicker of worry and worship braided together. One morning, as she packs her van, Vincent stands in the doorway of the mansion. He's pale but upright, leaning on the frame like it's holding his heartbeat in place. "You're really going?" he asks, voice coated in exhaustion. Cherry closes the van door. "I can't build my life around your hospital bracelet." His jaw tightens, not offended, but afraid. "I just don't want you getting tired from living two lives." Cherry steps closer. "This job is how I remember who I am. Before you, beside you, not instead of you." Vincent looks at her like the words are medicine he isn't sure he deserves. Torvin appears behind him, holding on to the back of Vincent's shirt like a tether. "You'll come back?" Cherry crouches and pinches his cheek lightly. "Every day God wakes me up. I'll try." She kisses Vincent's cheek, soft, warm, and then presses her forehead to his for 2 seconds. 2 seconds that feel like vows whispered too early. Vincent's eyes close. "Come back safe. Live through today," she answers. "That's how we meet, in the middle." She gets in the van, starts the engine, drives, and for the first time in years, someone watches her leave without assuming she won't return. It starts quietly. Cherry notices she's getting more delivery stops near Laurel Canyon, near the mansion, near Vincent. She chalks it up to coincidence, logistics, route changes, until her supervisor calls her into the office. "You're doing great," he says. "Corporate is impressed. They requested you stay on the Canyon circuit. High-profile client, pays well." Cherry frowns. "Who requested it?" He shrugs. "Didn't say, but they pay in advance." A lot in advance. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. The rest of the day feels wrong. Like stepping into a room that used to be familiar and finding the furniture moved. When she arrives at Vincent's house that evening after work, he's waiting in the foyer. Torvin plays on the staircase, humming. Cherry sets down her bag. We need to talk. Vincent nods, already knowing. Yeah, we do. Cherry folds her arms, steady but hurt. Did you pay my company to keep me near here? Vincent doesn't flinch. Yes. Torvin looks up, sensing the shift in the air. Why? Cherry demands. Vincent swallows. Because I'm terrified. Because every time you walk out that door, something in me panics. Because I don't know how to ask you to stay without feeling like I'm asking too much. Cherry's voice trembles, not from rage, but from heartbreak. I told you I won't be bought. I told you I wanted this to be human. This isn't buying you, Vincent says. It's trying to keep my heartbeat in the room. Cherry steps back, like the words push her. Then trust me to return. If you start shaping my world around your fear, I'll drown with you. Vincent's face breaks. Not tears, but realization. He reached for control in a moment that needed faith. Torvin climbs down the stairs and takes Cherry's hand. Please, don't go. Cherry kneels, cuping Torvin's cheeks. I'm not leaving. But this, she looks at Vincent, can't happen again. Vincent nods, voice cracking. I'll undo it. I'll fix it. Cherry stands. Don't fix it. Learn from it. Silence fills the room like a held breath. Then Cherry turns, walks to Vincent, places her hand over his chest, feeling the heartbeat he's so afraid to lose. I come back because I choose to, she whispers. Not because I'm paid to. Vincent closes his eyes like the truth hurts and heals simultaneously. The storm breaks that night. Not loud, not dramatic, but in the quiet way humans shatter when they realize they've been holding their breath for too long. Cherry sits on the couch. Vincent approaches slowly, as if asking permission with each step. He sits beside her, not touching, waiting for her to decide if the space between them is still safe. Cherry turns to him. I need boundaries, not walls. Boundaries. Vincent nods. Teach me. She takes his hand, places it on her knee. This is okay. She moves it gently to her thigh, just above the knee. This is trust. She laces their fingers. This is choosing. She places his hand on her heart. This is privilege. Vincent's voice is a whisper. And this? What's this? He cups her jaw, hesitant, reverent. Thumb brushing her cheek like he's memorizing the shape of her survival. Cherry leans in. Their lips meet. A kiss not of hunger, but of acknowledgement. A kiss like, I see the bruises the world left. Let me hold them, not hide them. A second kiss, slower. His hand moves to the back of her neck, grounding her. She sighs into him, fingers curling into his shirt. A third kiss, softer. Her mouth pressing to the corner of his, the place his smile begins when he's brave enough to wear it. They rest foreheads together, breathing in the same space. Vincent whispers, I didn't know healing could taste like this. Cherry brushes her lips against his again. Not taking, giving. Healing doesn't taste sweet. It tastes like effort. He chuckles. Weak, but real. Then this is the best effort I've ever known. She trails a line of kisses along his jaw, faint, respectful, careful with his energy. He presses one to her pulse, lips lingering like a promise he isn't ready to say out loud. Torvin appears in the doorway, rubbing his eyes. Cherry? Daddy? Cherry pulls back, but doesn't create distance. She stays close. Yeah, baby? Torvin smiles sleepily. You look like home. Vincent's breath hitches. Cherry's heart breaks and mends at the same time. Later that night, after Torvin falls asleep on the couch between them, Vincent stares at the ceiling. Cherry watches him. His voice finally cracks the silence. If love is temporary, I don't want it. Cherry's pulse stutters. Vincent turns to her. Desperation hidden inside courage. I don't want a love that leaves when things get ugly. I don't want a love that needs perfect endings. I don't want a love that clocks out when fear clocks in. Cherry listens, No interruptions, no corrections. Vincent continues, voice trembling. If love is temporary, I don't want it. Cherry places her palm over his heart, the heartbeat she once begged not to stop. Real love survives truth, she whispers. She leans closer, her forehead against his. Real love isn't perfect. It's honest, it's loud, it's scared, it's messy. It comes with bad days and worse nights. But it survives because it chooses to. Vincent exhales like the words lift something off him. You talk like love didn't break you. Cherry shakes her head. Love broke me. People pretending it was love broke me more. But truth saved me. He swallows. And what's our truth? Cherry closes her eyes. I don't know yet, but I know I haven't run, and that's truth enough for right now. Vincent leans in, slow, careful, and they kiss again. This kiss tastes different, not soft, not safe, certain like, even if the world ends tomorrow, today mattered. When they break apart, Vincent's forehead rests against hers. I want to earn this, he murmurs. Cherry smiles. Start by believing you're worth earning. Cherry leaves the mansion at midnight, the night air cool against flushed skin. Vincent walks her to the door, leaning on her arm only when he has to, not because he assumes he should. At the door, he pauses. Will you come back tomorrow? Cherry brushes her thumb across his cheek. If tomorrow comes, I'll show up for it. He nods, eyes soft. That's enough. She kisses him once more, slow, grounding, and whispers, don't build cages out of fear. Vincent whispers back, don't disappear when I learn to fly. Cherry smiles. Deal. She steps into the night. The door closes gently behind her. Vincent turns and looks at the mansion. Marble floors, silent halls, rooms that echo. He whispers to himself, this doesn't feel like home without her. Cherry drives through Los Angeles. Neon lights, late-night diners, buses hissing to a stop at crosswalks. She parks at a lookout above the city, breathing deep. Her phone buzzes. A text from Vincent. Thank you for today. For honesty. For not letting me cage you. Cherry types back. Thank you for letting the door stay open. A second message from him. Good night. Sunlight. Cherry stares at the screen. Her throat tightens. Her heart answers the thing her mouth won't say yet. She types, live tomorrow, then we'll talk about forever. She sends it. She leans back, watching the city lights flicker like 1,000 heartbeats. For the first time in a long time, she isn't scared of wanting. Cherry arrives at the mansion after her shift, the sun dipping low and warm behind the hills. Vincent is resting inside, chemo day, so Torvin is the one who opens the door, cheeks bright, curls bouncing like excitement is stored in them. Cherry crouches. Slow down, baby, I just got here. What's got you vibrating like you swallowed fireworks? Torvin grips her hand and pulls her inside without warning. I've been waiting. I have something for you. But you can't tell Daddy I did this first. Cherry raises a brow. Is this where I'm supposed to start worrying? Torvin shakes his head so fast she almost laughs. No. It's special. And I know it'll help. He leads her to Vincent's old music room, piano covered in dust, sheet music curled at the edges like abandoned dreams. On the desk sits a small velvet box. Cherry recognizes the type instantly. She's delivered dozens like it. Engagement rings, anniversary necklaces, jewelry built for promises. Cherry's stomach tightens. Torvin rushes to it and lifts the lid. Inside is a ring. White gold, a small diamond, scratches along the band like memory had teeth. He takes it out, hands shaking. This was my mom's. She left it when she left us. Daddy put it away because he said sometimes you have to hide the things. That hurts so they don't break your hands when you pick them up. Cherry's throat goes dry. Torvin holds the ring up to her, tiny fingers trembling. But you're not like her. You stay. You showed up when no one else did. You didn't run when things got scary. Cherry's eyes sting. Baby, where did you hear all that? Torvin shrugs. I listen. Adults think kids don't, but we hear everything. We see everything. We remember everything. Cherry kneels, steadying his hands with her own. Where did you get this? the back of Daddy's drawer, under his old passport. I know I wasn't supposed to, but I want you to have it. Cherry's chest aches. Why? Torvin takes a breath like a confession. Because you make him breathe different, and I want him to live. And I think love helps people live. The ring glints between them like a question too big for a 6-year-old to ask. Cherry's voice cracks. What's her name? Your mom? Torvin hesitates, then whispers, Leora. The name hits Cherry like a ghost walking into the room. Beautiful, heavy, a story she hasn't heard but already feels in the air. Torvin presses the ring toward her. Please, take it. Cherry looks at him. This child who carries grief like a backpack, too big for his frame. She wraps her hand around his. Thank you, she whispers, for trusting me with something so important. But this isn't mine to take. Not like this. Torvin blinks, confused. Why not? Daddy needs someone. Cherry smiles, gentle. Needing and choosing are not the same thing, remember? He frowns, but love is love. Cherry kisses his forehead. Love is also timing, and healing, and consent, and honesty. She closes the box softly. I'm not ready to wear someone else's ending, she says, and I won't let you skip your story just to fix ours. Vincent appears in the doorway, leaning on the frame, exhaustion hanging from his shoulders like a coat he can't take off yet. He looks between Cherry, Torvin, and the ring box. His voice is soft. What's going on? Cherry stands. Torvin backs up, holding the box to his chest. Cherry takes a breath. He offered me Leora's ring. Vincent pales, color draining like the world tilts. Torvin pipes up. I wanted to help. I thought... Vincent lifts a hand. Baby. Not now. His tone isn't harsh, but Torvin still wilts. Cherry steps between them instinctively. No. He wasn't wrong to try. He was trying to build hope the only way he understands it. Vincent meets Cherry's eyes. Shame flickering. Did you take it? Cherry looks at the box in Torvin's hands. No, I couldn't. Because it's hers? Vincent asks, voice thin. Because it's not mine, Cherry answers. Not yet. Maybe not ever. I'm not here to replace her. I'm not here to perform the role of the woman who left. Vincent's jaw tightens. I didn't ask you to be her. Cherry shakes her head. Not directly. But when fear picks up a paintbrush, it starts drawing pictures of what it thinks will save us. Torvin sniffles. I thought it would make Daddy happy. Cherry kneels again, takes his hands. Happiness doesn't come from jewelry, sweetheart. It comes from honesty and healing and choosing each other on purpose. Vincent watches them. His son in Cherry's arms, his past in a box, his future in a room too small for all the emotions trying to fit. He whispers, I'm not proud of the story that ring belongs to. Cherry stands, facing him. Then write a new one. Cherry places the box on the piano. The click of it settling sounds like a verdict. Vincent turns away, shoulders caving. Cherry follows. Vincent, he shakes his head. I shouldn't have kept it. I shouldn't have let it sit here like a museum piece, like a warning, like a shrine to failure. Cherry touches his arm. He flinches. Not from her, but from memory. My marriage was dead before the cancer, he says. Leora wasn't cruel. She was just finished. Finished with hospitals. Finished with fear. Finished with waking up every day wondering if she'd be a widow before lunch. Cherry swallows. You don't have to defend her to me. Vincent laughs once. A sound with no joy. I'm not defending her. I'm trying to understand why I'm still surviving when she couldn't stay to watch. Cherry steps in front of him, forcing him to look at her. Because sometimes staying is harder than leaving, and sometimes leaving is the only way someone knows how to survive their own fear. Vincent's voice breaks. Cherry, I'm ashamed. Not because she left, but because I still look at that door every time someone walks out, waiting to see if they come back. Cherry cups his face, steady fingers on trembling bone. I've come back every day, she says, even when it scared me. Even when I didn't know how to make this make sense. Vincent's forehead presses to hers, breath shaking. I don't know how to be worth staying for, he whispers. Cherry closes her eyes. Worth isn't earned. It's recognized. It happens fast. One moment Vincent is standing, the next his knees buckle. Cherry catches him, barely, lowering him to the floor as Torvin screams, "Daddy!" Vincent gasps, breath ragged, chest constricting. His skin goes cold, sweat rising like panic from his pores. Cherry shouts, "Torvin, get the phone, call 911. He runs. Vincent claws at Cherry's arm, not for help, but to push her away. "Go." He chokes. "Don't watch me fall again. I can't survive you watching me die." Cherry holds his face, her voice solid. "You don't get to choose for me." He tries to shove her away. Weakly, "I don't want you to see this. I don't want you to remember me like this." Cherry leans closer, her voice like steel wrapped in warmth. "You don't get to decide what love gets to witness." Vincent's eyes fill, terror and sorrow in equal measure. "Cherry, please. If you stay, if I die, I'll haunt you. I'll ruin you. I'll become the reason you never try again." Cherry grabs his hands and pins them to her chest. "If you die," she whispers, "my grief will not be your fault. My love will not be your burden. My healing will not be your ghost." Vincent sobs, broken sound, raw throat. "I'm so scared." Cherry's tears fall onto his cheeks. "So am I. So stay scared with me. But don't you dare push me away because fear is louder than faith." Sirens approach. Torvin cries against the wall. Cherry holds Vincent like he's both anchor and storm. Vincent's breathing slows, shallow, stuttering. But his hand grips her shirt. He whispers, barely conscious, "Don't leave." Cherry kisses his forehead again, like a vow sewn directly into skin. "I won't leave. Even if you collapse 1,000 times, I'll stand up with you every time. But you have to let me." His eyes close. His grip loosens. Paramedics burst in. Cherry wipes her face, stands, and meets them. "He's still here," she whispers. "Help him stay." At the hospital, Cherry waits with Torvin on her lap. He's shaking, silent tears soaking her uniform. She rocks him gently. "He didn't mean it," she murmurs. "Fear makes people do ugly things." Torvin sniffles. "Then why does fear get to be louder than love?" Cherry presses a kiss to his hair. "It doesn't. Not forever. But some days, love whispers and fear screams. Our job is to keep listening to love until it finds its voice again." A doctor approaches. He's stable, weak, but responsive. "He's asking for you." Cherry shares a look with Torvin. "Come with me?" He nods. Inside Vincent's room, he looks small, smaller than before. Machines beep softly, measuring life he's still choosing. He opens his eyes when they enter. He whispers, voice a cracked edge, "I'm sorry." Cherry steps beside him. "Don't apologize for collapsing. Apologize for assuming I couldn't hold the sight of your survival." Vincent closes his eyes, tears slipping. "I wanted to protect you," he says, "and in the process, I hurt us." Cherry sits. "Protection without consent is control. Promise me you'll stop trying to save me from the version of you that isn't perfect." Vincent nods. "I promise." Torvin climbs onto the bed, curling beside him carefully. Vincent pulls him close. "I'm not going anywhere. Not on purpose. Not without a fight." Cherry reaches for his hand. Vincent whispers, "Stay." Cherry exhales, "Live. Then I'll stay." Vincent smiles, weak but real. "Deal," he says. Cherry leans down and presses a kiss to his temple. This time, the kiss doesn't feel like mercy. It feels like choice. Cherry didn't cry when the plane wheels lifted. She didn't cry when the cabin lights dimmed, or when the flight attendant asked if she needed anything. She didn't even cry when the pilot said, "Welcome to Atlanta," like it was a homecoming. She cried when she stepped off the escalator and saw nobody waiting for her. No Vincent, no Torvin. Just her phone, vibrating with missed calls she wasn't ready to return. Atlanta air felt heavier. Pine, car fumes, and the faint memory of gospel music from passing cars like a perfume of old Sundays. She pulled her duffel bag close and walked toward the MARTA platform. A woman in a denim jacket bumped her shoulder and apologized. Cherry swallowed hard and nodded. Her aunt's neighborhood hadn't changed. Crepe myrtles lining cracked sidewalks, apartments with peeling numbers, the sound of someone frying fish through open windows, kids racing each other on scooters. Her aunt, Aunt Leora, opened the door before Cherry knocked twice. Baby. Cherry collapsed into her arms, gripping fabric like salvation. Leora kissed her forehead. This world is loud. Come inside before it swallows you. Cherry's duffel dropped to the floor. For the first time since Los Angeles, she exhaled without shaking. She walked inside, saw the same sofa with patched seams, the framed photo of her late mother on the wall, and her old shoes by the door like she'd never left. She set her phone on silent and face down. Atlanta wasn't an escape. It was a mirror. Sunday came fast. Atlanta churches didn't whisper. They thundered. Cherry sat in a back pew, hands clasped, shoulders stiff. The choir swayed in deep navy robes, voices rising like prayer wrapped in melody. Love don't leave when days turn grey. Hope ain't quiet. It calls your name. Cherry blinked fast. Those lyrics scraped something open. After service, her aunt nudged her. Past wounds don't heal in hiding. You know that. Cherry nodded. She tried to rebuild routine. She applied at a warehouse on Edgewood Avenue. First shift, sorting packages, loading delivery vans. The work was familiar, box by box, address by address, numbers and labels instead of feelings. No Vincent to reach for, no Torvin to hug, no chemo bags on the counter. Her co-workers called her Cherry LA like it was a joke, but she didn't mind. It meant she still belonged somewhere. During breaks, she helped the church choir fold robes for Sunday. She laughed softly at the teenagers trying to harmonize. She let her aunt braid her hair on the porch. She relearned what silence felt like without heartbreak echoing in it. But every night, no matter how tired she was, she found herself scrolling through her camera roll, finding Vincent's hand holding hers, Torvin's crooked smile, the sunlight slanting into the chemo wing. Her thumb hovered over call, never pressed. Cherry walked home from her shift with tired feet and a carton of peach tea in her hand. Edgewood Avenue buzzed. Street vendors, murals, sneakers hanging from telephone wires. A saxophonist under the overpass played a melody that felt like heartbreak stitched into hope. It reminded her of Vincent saying, "If love is temporary, I don't want it." She gripped the carton tighter. On her days off, she rode buses without destination, letting the city steer her. She passed the MLK Center, sunlight on the fountain, children throwing pennies with their wishes. A little girl with braids tugged her sleeve. "Do you think wishes work?" Cherry swallowed. "Some do. The ones that meet you halfway." The girl smiled and ran to join her mother. Further down, she passed Morehouse College, boys in hoodies tossing footballs on the lawn, laughing like futures weren't fragile. She sat under a tree and rested her forehead on her knees. Vincent would have liked this spot. He'd talk about futures like they were houses being built, beam by beam, day by day. She wondered if he still believed that, if chemo had taken that hope from him. If she had, her chest tightened. She opened her phone for the first time all day. No new messages from him. Cherry turned it face down on the grass and whispered, "I'm trying, God, but trying is heavy." The wind moved through the trees like a quiet answer. Los Angeles felt colder without Cherry. The mansion, the same halls where Torvin used to run and giggle, the kitchen where Cherry brewed ginger tea, the balcony where Vincent once stood steady despite the nausea, had gone silent. The kind of silence that gnawed. Vincent sat at his office desk, chemo blanket wrapped around his legs, laptop open. His email draft page glowed like truth he couldn't send. Draft 1. Cherry, I'm trying to be stronger than this. but strength feels like sand. He hovered, deleted. Draft 2. Atlanta suits you. I imagine you walking streets I've never seen but wish I could. If healing looks like distance, I won't chase you. Deleted. Draft 3. Torvin is quiet. He misses you like breath. Deleted. He rubbed the heel of his palm against his sternum. Breaths shallow. Missed chemo days stacked like dominoes. He found himself staring at the door, expecting Cherry to walk in with her ponytail and that stubborn spark in her eyes. He whispered, "I'm sorry," to no one. At night, Vincent slept in the guest room. His own bed still smelled like her hair oil and peppermint lotion. He couldn't bear reminders, but reminders found him anyway. He typed again, Draft 4, Cherry. I'm not asking you to come back. I'm asking how to breathe without you. He didn't delete it. He let it sit. Half a confession, half a prayer. His phone buzzed, chemo schedule reminder. He swiped it away. I'll go tomorrow, he told the empty room. But tomorrow never showed up on time when grief held the clock. He leaned back, exhaustion pressing heavy. Whispers of another collapse flickered at the edge of his ribs, but he stayed upright. Barely. The cursor blinked in the open draft like a heartbeat. He hit save, not send. Cherry's shift ended with her arms aching. The warehouse lights hummed overhead as she clocked out. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. 3 missed calls from a number she knew by heart. Torvin. She stepped outside into dusk, leaning against the side of the delivery van. She braced herself before pressing play. Voicemail. 1. 7 seconds. Miss Cherry, I drew you again. I made your hair curly like the day you laughed in the kitchen. A little sniff. Daddy said laughter sounds like medicine. I don't know if medicine works if the bottle leaves. Silence. End of message. Cherry pressed a hand over her mouth. Voicemail. 2. 12 seconds. Soft breathing. Tiny voice. I tried to make pancakes like you did. Daddy said I shouldn't use the stove. He sat down because he got dizzy. I held his hand. I told him, hands don't leave. You said that once, or maybe I dreamed it. A pause. Dreams feel true sometimes. End of message. Cherry's knees bent, and she slid down until she was sitting on the concrete, back against the van, breath shaking. Voicemail. 3. 24 seconds. Torvin's voice cracked. Miss Cherry, Daddy's sleeping a lot. He said he's fine, but his fine looks like tired that doesn't take naps. He gulped air, voice trembling. I don't know what to do. I'm only 6. I can't fix grown-ups. I tried to find you. I asked the lady at school if love has a phone book. She didn't understand. A tiny sob. Miss Cherry, are you my dad's new wife? It's okay if you're not. I just need someone who stays, even if it's just your voice. Silence. Barely a whisper. Please don't die in his place. Cherry froze. Her heart broke open like a window in a storm. She replayed the last line 3 times. Every time, it cracked deeper. She looked up at the Atlanta sky, street lights flickering, faint sound of a bus braking, church bells somewhere far off. Cherry whispered back, even though Torvin couldn't hear, I'm not done. Not with you. Not with him. Her aunt's voice echoed in her mind. Past wounds don't heal in hiding. Cherry stood up. One choice at a time. That's how people come home. She wiped her face, squared her shoulders, and dialed. The call rang, and rang, and rang. Straight to voicemail. She didn't leave a message. Some truths needed to be said face to face, not through static. Cherry lifted her head. Atlanta isn't an escape, she said into the wind. It's preparation. If you're still here, comment blessed 1 time. It helps YouTube push this story out, so someone who needs this message finds it. Cherry was sorting packages at the warehouse when her phone buzzed in her pocket. She ignored it. Shift wasn't over yet, but the buzzing continued, again and again, until her supervisor raised an eyebrow. You good, Cherry LA? Cherry nodded. She stepped aside and took her phone out. Incoming call, Torvin. Her throat dried. She answered, Hey, baby. Torvin's voice was rushed, words tumbling like a child running downhill. Miss Cherry? Daddy said he doesn't need you, but he needs you. Cherry froze. What? What do you mean? He said it when I asked him if you're coming back. He said he doesn't need anyone. But I saw him cry. He thinks I didn't, but I did. Torvin sniffled. I heard him say your name in his sleep. Cherry pressed her palm over her chest. Torvin, she whispered, voice shaking. Sometimes grown-ups say things they don't mean because they're scared. He said he's not scared of anything. But he looked like scared. A pause. I think he's scared of being soft. He told me once soft things break easy. But you're soft sometimes and you didn't break. You just bend, like my mom's willow tree in our old backyard. Cherry shut her eyes. Edgewood Avenue vanished. Atlanta vanished. Only his small voice existed. Torvin, He cut in, hushed. Daddy won't tell you, but he keeps touching his chest, like it hurts. He sits on the bathroom floor sometimes. A brittle inhale. I sit outside the door so he's not alone. But I don't know if I'm enough. Cherry's knees weakened. You are enough, she whispered. You are more than enough. Then why ain't Daddy getting better? His question broke something open. If I'm enough, why ain't he better? Cherry slid down a stack of boxes, sitting on the warehouse floor. Baby, sometimes people need more than love to heal. They need help. They need support. They need you, he said, voice cracking. Daddy needs you. Cherry covered her mouth. Tears escaped. Come back, Torvin said. Please. Even if you don't marry him. Even if you don't love him. Just come back so he can remember how to breathe. He swallowed. He don't remember how without you. The line went quiet. Cherry heard him breathing. Her heartbeat tripped. She whispered, I hear you. Cherry didn't pack a bag. She didn't finish her shift. She didn't tell her aunt. She just walked. Fast. Like forward motion alone could stitch her heart back together. She boarded the MARTA bus, paid, and sat in the very back. Her hands shook around her phone. Her throat burned. The bus pulled away, tires humming along asphalt. People chatted. Music played through cheap earbuds. Someone laughed too loud. Cherry stared out the window as Atlanta blurred past. She replayed Torvin's voice in her head. If I'm enough, why ain't he better? Her chest convulsed. She pressed her forehead to the cold window. Hot tears streamed. She didn't hide them. A woman across the aisle, a stranger in a mustard coat, watched gently. She didn't speak. But when Cherry crumbled forward, elbows on her knees, the woman scooted closer, sliding a packet of tissues into Cherry's hand without a word. Cherry sobbed harder. Because kindness breaks you open when you've been stitched too tight. The bus wheezed to a stop. Passengers shuffled out. But Cherry stayed. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Vincent Marshall, I'm at Chemo. Don't come back out of obligation. I won't survive that. Another buzz. If you ever come back because you want to stay, not rescue me. Cherry's fingers trembled. She typed, deleted, typed, deleted again. The mustard coat woman touched Cherry's arm. You trying to figure out if leaving or returning is braver? Cherry looked up, eyes red, voice barely there. Yes. The woman nodded. Baby, bravery ain't the road, it's the step. Whichever direction your feet choose, make sure it's yours. Cherry wiped her face. She stood. The bus doors hissed open behind her. Atlanta air spilled in. She stepped out. Cherry didn't remember the Uber ride. Didn't remember the airport security line. Didn't remember the ticket agent asking if she preferred aisle or window. She was on autopilot, moving by instinct, not certainty. At the gate, she paused. A flight to Los Angeles, boarding. A life she wasn't sure she deserved calling her back. She clutched her ticket, closed her eyes. Her feet turned to leave. She couldn't do it. Couldn't walk into his life and break his heartbeat twice. Couldn't be a cure she wasn't sure she could sustain. Then, her phone rang. Torvin, again. She answered, voice trembling. Baby? He didn't speak for a moment, just breathed. Finally, Daddy's throwing up. He told the nurse he wants to go home. He said home ain't a place. It's a feeling. He looked at the door when he said it. Like you was gonna walk in. Cherry's heart shattered. A clean break this time, no cracks. A break Miss Cherry, if you come back, I'll share him. I won't be selfish. I promise. A whisper. I just don't want to do this alone. Cherry bit her lip so hard it bled. She whispered, "Stay on the phone with me." She walked, feet steady, tears falling, gate attendant scanning her ticket. Torvin exhaled like relief. Cherry boarded. She didn't sit. She stood in the aisle, head bowed. Torvin sniffled, "I love you." Cherry didn't say it back, not because she didn't, but because saying it now would be a promise she had to earn. The flight attendant gently touched her elbow. "Ma'am, we need you seated for departure." Cherry inhaled, exhaled. She whispered to Torvin, "I'm coming home." Then she sat. The plane door closed. Halfway through the flight, Cherry felt pressure in her chest. Not pain, just something like too much feeling and nowhere to put it. She asked to use the restroom. The flight attendant nodded. Cherry slipped inside, locked the door, and stared at her reflection in the tiny mirror. Her eyes looked older. Not years, grief. Her fingers trembled as she gripped the sink. She whispered, "God, I don't know how." The engine hummed like a lullaby for lost things. Turbulence shook the floor lightly, almost like a nudge. Cherry exhaled. Words poured out like she'd been holding them in her ribs for months. "I don't know how to love someone who's dying. I don't know how to stay without losing myself. I don't know if I'm strong enough to watch him break. I don't know if I can fix anything. Not him, not me, not the past." Her voice cracked. "I don't know how to walk back into a home that might be gone soon. I don't know how to be what he needs without drowning. I don't know how to be needed by a child who deserves more than my fear." She bowed her head. The plane shook again, gentle, like a hand on her shoulder. She wondered if that was coincidence or comfort. "I'm not asking for a miracle," she whispered. "I'm asking for clarity, for courage, for whatever it takes to not run this time." Silence answered first. Then a memory bloomed in her mind. Vincent, pale and stubborn. "If love is temporary, I don't want it." Cherry, trembling but honest. "Real love survives truth." She raised her head. In the mirror, she didn't look healed. She looked willing. Sometimes that's the first miracle. She wiped her cheeks, unlocked the door. A small girl in a pink hoodie waited outside, holding a stuffed bear. The girl looked up at her. "You okay?" The child asked, voice pure. Cherry knelt, eyes soft. "I'm learning." The girl hugged her bear. "My mama says learning is a journey. She says love is learning somebody, even when they're sad." Cherry's heart thudded. "Your mama's right," she whispered. She walked back to her seat. She didn't know how, but she knew why. And sometimes the why has to come before the how. Los Angeles looked the same from the airplane window. Smog haze over the hills, tiny squares of pools, life moving like nobody paused long enough to feel anything. But when Cherry stepped off the plane, the air felt different in her lungs. She took a taxi straight from LAX. Didn't stop to fix her hair. Didn't stop to collect her heartbeat. Didn't tell anyone she was coming. The mansion rose like a memory and a warning. Her palms went damp. She stood at the gate, breath visible in the early morning chill. She pressed the call box. It buzzed, then clicked open. Inside, the foyer lights were low. Footsteps hurried, not adult strides. Torvin. He ran full speed. Cherry barely dropped her bags in time before he collided with her legs, arms wrapping tight around her. He sobbed into her jeans. "You came back for real. I didn't dream it. This ain't a dream, right?" Cherry's knees hit the floor. She hugged him, hard. "No dream," she whispered. "I'm here." A soft thud on the staircase. Cherry looked up. Vincent, grey hoodie, hands gripping the railing, eyes wide, not shocked. Afraid. He looked thinner, weaker, but his eyes, they recognized her like a place he never stopped calling home. For a moment, neither moved. Then Vincent whispered, voice barely audible. "You came back." Cherry stood slowly, Torvin still clinging to her hand. "I'm not here to be a cure," she said. "I'm here to be present. If you want me." He blinked hard, something breaking behind his ribs. "I want you." he breathed. But I don't know how to keep you. Cherry shook her head. You don't have to keep me. Just meet me. Silence between them. Not empty. Full. Torvin looked between them, eyes shining. Cherry took one step forward. Vincent's breath caught. I'm not running again, she said. Even if I have to learn how to stay every single day. Vincent nodded, tears falling. Then let's learn. Cherry reached out. He reached back. Their hands met. Not as a promise of forever, but as a beginning. Torvin squeezed both their hands. In that foyer, a mansion that always felt too big, something shifted. Not healed. Not finished. Possible. Cherry whispered. For herself. For all of them. I'm home. If you're still watching, comment Love is Learning. It helps YouTube push this story to someone who needs it. The first morning back, Cherry woke in the guest room. The mansion was quiet, not empty, just resting. She sat on the edge of the bed, grounding her breathing. Inhale, exhale. She was here. She braided her hair, pulled on an oversized tee from her suitcase. No makeup, no armor. When she stepped into the hall, she heard coughing. Sharp, dry, stubborn. Her body tensed. She didn't rush. She didn't freeze. She walked. Vincent was on the kitchen counter stool, hunched forward, one hand braced on the marble. His hoodie was too big on him, sleeves falling past his wrists. Nausea flushed across his cheekbones. Cherry didn't grab ginger tea. She didn't reach for meds. She didn't try to fix. She stepped in front of him, placed a hand gently at the back of his neck, low where his spine met muscle. Warm, steady pressure. Look at me, Cherry whispered. Vincent lifted his eyes, grey-blue, clouded with exhaustion. You're not alone, she said. Not a cure, a truth. His breath trembled. The coughing slowed. Cherry eased onto the stool beside him. No instructions, no schedule reminders, just presence. She leaned her shoulder lightly into his, not enough to overwhelm, just enough to anchor. Vincent let out a shaky exhale. Everyone keeps treating me like glass, he said. You're not glass, Cherry replied. You're wounded. That's not the same. He blinked fast, like he wasn't prepared for gentleness that didn't ask for anything back. Cherry didn't ask if he ate, didn't ask about medications, didn't ask how he felt. Instead, what do you want right now? Not need. Want. Vincent swallowed. I want to sit like this for a minute. Cherry nodded. Then we sit. And they did. They watched sunlight stretch across the counter. The world didn't rush them. For the first time, he didn't feel like a burden. For the first time, she didn't feel like she had to perform strength. Later that day, they walked the backyard together. Slow steps. Torvin skipping ahead, pointing at birds on the fence. Vincent leaned on her arm, not because he was collapsing, because he chose to. You don't hover, he said quietly. You listen. Cherry's voice softened. Hovering is fear. Listening is love. Vincent inhaled like he'd been underwater and just reached the surface. That night, Vincent couldn't sleep. He sat on the couch, knees pulled up, hoodie sleeves covering his hands. Chemo made nights long, longer than anyone knew. Cherry entered quietly, a blanket draped over her arm. She didn't ask permission. She sat beside him, close but not clinging. Her voice was low. Is it a pain night or a fear night? Vincent stared ahead. Both. Cherry nodded, accepting. She reached for his hand. His fingers were cold. He didn't pull away. Cherry exhaled, steadying her heartbeat. I'm not going to preach, she murmured. I just want to speak on hope. You okay with that? Vincent nodded once. Cherry shifted closer, so their shoulders touched. Her voice was not theatrical, not polished, just real. God, she whispered. We're tired. Not broken, just tired. We've walked hard roads, we've tripped, we've bled, but we're still here. Vincent closed his eyes. Cherry pressed her forehead lightly to his temple. We don't need miracles tonight, we just need breath. One more, and then another. Vincent's breath shook. Cherry's voice softened even more. Meet us in the tired places, not to fix everything, just to sit with us until the storm gets lighter. Vincent swallowed hard. Cherry squeezed his hand. We're choosing life, even when it feels like death is louder. We're choosing presence, even when fear feels permanent. We're choosing each other, even if we don't know what tomorrow looks like. A tear slid down Vincent's cheek. He didn't hide it. Cherry whispered, "Amen," or whatever word your heart uses to mean, "I'm trying." Vincent opened his eyes. He didn't comment. He didn't debate. He didn't apologize for crying. He turned to her, voice barely there. "I needed that more than oxygen." Cherry leaned her head to his shoulder. "You get to need things. You get to need people. That's not weakness. That's human." They sat like that, breathing the same air, hearts not synchronized but learning the rhythm of coexistence. Then Vincent whispered, not confident, not ashamed, just honest, "Cherry. Yeah? If you stay, I will fight." Silence. Not tension. Honesty. Cherry's breath caught. She didn't answer fast. Fast answers are fabrications. She turned to face him. Her thumb brushed beneath his eye, wiping a tear. "I'm not asking you to fight for me," she said. "I'm asking you to fight with me." Vincent nodded. His chest rose, fell, rose again, for the first time in months. He inhaled like the air tasted like hope. Morning arrived differently after that night. Not lighter, just less heavy. Cherry woke before sunrise and padded barefoot to the kitchen. The world was quiet, like the house was waiting to see how the day would form. She brewed tea the way she always did. Peppermint with 2 drops of honey. The smell filled the air like memory and comfort. Vincent appeared in the doorway, pale but present. He leaned his shoulder against the frame, watching her. "You didn't run," he said. Cherry didn't turn around. "Did you expect me to?" Vincent hesitated. Expecting hurts less than hoping. Cherry set a mug down in front of him. Then stop expecting. Try receiving. He looked at the steam curling off the tea. Eyes soft. "You talk like staying is easy." "It's not," she replied. "But leaving isn't easier anymore. It just hurts differently." He nodded. A pause. His hand hovered over the mug. "Cherry," he said slowly, "I wasn't lying. If you stay, I will fight." Cherry finally turned to him, leaning against the counter. "Fight what? The cancer? The fear? Yourself?" "All of it," he whispered. "Because I want life, not just survival, not just hospitals, not just ghosting days hoping the next one hurts less." Cherry stepped forward, close enough to feel the heat radiating from him. "You're allowed to want." Vincent shook his head. "Wanting feels selfish. Wanting is human," Cherry countered. "Selfish would be demanding. Wanting is admitting that your heart still believes in something." Vincent looked up at her like she was a foreign language finally beginning to make sense. Torvin shuffled in, hair sticking up like a cotton ball. He rubbed his eyes and mumbled, "Daddy, is today a good day or a brave day?" Vincent knelt, ignoring how it strained his body. He pressed a kiss to Torvin's forehead. "Both," he whispered. "Today, we're learning both." Cherry watched them, felt something stir behind her ribs, something like belonging. Later that afternoon, Vincent asked for help getting dressed. Not because he couldn't, because he didn't want to do it alone. Cherry buttoned his shirt slowly, fingers brushing fabric, not skin, careful and respectful. Vincent studied her like she was teaching him something without words. He said, voice low, "When I lost my wife, I thought the universe was punishing me. When I got sick, I thought it was finishing the job. But when you came back, it felt like grace." Cherry's throat tightened. "Grace doesn't mean it won't hurt," she said. "It means the hurt has company now." Vincent reached up, fingertips brushing her cheek. Not a kiss, not yet. Just a touch, an acknowledgement. "If you stay," he whispered again, "I'll fight like I want to live." Cherry closed her eyes, held his hand against her cheek. "I'm not a cure, Vincent. I know. I'm not a guarantee. I know. I break sometimes." "So do I," he said, voice steady. Her eyes opened. "I'll stay." No fireworks, no dramatic music. Just a declaration between two wounded people choosing to try. For the first time, Vincent didn't look scared of hope. Days became routine. Not perfect, but consistent. Cherry kept a journal, not a diary, just simple sentences. Today he ate toast. Today he laughed once. Today we sat in silence, and it felt like rest, not avoidance. She didn't write about herself often, not until she noticed something. Her body felt off, a strange fatigue, heavier than jet lag, hunger in waves, then sudden nausea at the smell of eggs, a dull ache low in her hips. She brushed it off. Stress, travel, emotional exhaustion. But when she showered and reached for her soap, she paused, hand resting on her abdomen. A thought whispered, no, not possible. She counted days in her head. She miscounted, then counted again. Her breath stilled. She stared at her reflection, water dripping down her face like tears. She wasn't actually crying. No, she whispered. It's just stress. She finished her shower, dressed, moved on. She wouldn't test, not yet. Not when Vincent was gaining inches toward living, one breath at a time. She walked into the living room where Vincent sat reading a book Torvin had chosen. A kid's adventure about a rabbit who refuses to stop believing in spring. Cherry leaned against the doorway, watching the light fall on Vincent's profile. Sharp jaw, tired eyes, a stubborn set to his mouth that looked like willpower. He looked up, caught her staring. What? He whispered. Cherry's voice was soft. I'm learning how to belong somewhere on purpose. Vincent closed the book. You're doing it, he said. You think you're trying, but you're already doing it. She sat beside him. He leaned his head against her shoulder, not collapsing, sharing weight. Cherry rested her hand over his. Her other hand, subconsciously, drifted to her stomach. Just a touch, barely a moment. Vincent didn't notice. She dropped her hand. Pregnancy was not a fact yet, just a whisper, a suspicion, a possibility softened by denial. Cherry inhaled, exhaled. She chose to focus on the now. Vincent's breathing, Torvin's laughter in the next room. The warmth of this couch. Not futures, not endings, not secrets. Just this moment. Living, she whispered, almost to herself. Not just surviving. Vincent nodded against her shoulder. Together, he added. Cherry didn't cry. She didn't smile. She just existed, fully, without apology. For the first time in a long time. Existing felt like enough. It was early morning when Cherry stood in the bathroom, bare feet on cold tile, a pregnancy test on the counter like a verdict waiting to be read. She didn't pace. She didn't pray. She just stared at the two pink lines like they were rewriting her entire future in silence. 2 lines, clear, undeniable. Cherry gripped the counter, head bowed. A breath left her body like she'd been holding it since Atlanta. Pregnant, not imagined, not stress, not exhaustion. Life. A quiet sob escaped her, not from sadness, not from joy, just from the weight of knowing her body had said yes to something she hadn't planned. She wrapped her arms around herself. The world felt unstable, but her heartbeat steadied. Cherry whispered, please be gentle with us. All of us. She tucked the test into her pocket. Her steps down the hallway sounded louder than usual. Vincent sat on the sofa, scrolling through chemo instructions he'd highlighted in neon yellow. He looked up when Cherry entered. Something in her eyes told him everything and nothing at once. He set the papers down. Cherry, what happened? Cherry swallowed hard. I'm pregnant. The room didn't spin. The world didn't collapse. But Vincent's breath faltered, not in fear, but in awe. His hand pressed to his chest, not the pain spot. His heart. You're sure? Cherry nodded, eyes trembling. 2 tests. Same answer. Vincent exhaled. A shaky, fragile sound. He didn't smile. He didn't cry. He just whispered, thank you for telling me. And Cherry collapsed into his arms. Not for rescue, but for grounding. Later, in the bedroom with the door closed, Cherry paced. Her hands shook as she tried to steady her breathing. A pregnancy was supposed to feel like promise. This one felt like a question. How do you raise a child with someone who might not be there? How do you carry hope when chemo sits like a shadow on the crib? Vincent entered quietly and leaned against the doorframe. His voice was steady, careful. I know you're scared. Cherry turned, tears on her cheeks. I'm terrified, she blurted. I don't know how to do this without thinking about losing you. I don't know how to be excited when the future feels like a hospital waiting room. I don't know how to breathe without worrying I'll be breathing alone. Vincent stepped toward her. Slow, intentional, like approaching something sacred. You won't be alone, he said. You can't promise that, Cherry shot back. It's not fair to promise that. Vincent nodded. You're right, I can't promise time. I can't promise health. I can't even promise tomorrow. Cherry's lips trembled. But, Vincent continued, I can promise effort. I can promise I will not stop fighting. Not for a cure, for a life, for a chance to see our baby, for mornings where the pain isn't the first thing I feel, for nights where fear doesn't win. Cherry covered her mouth, shoulders shaking. Vincent reached out, fingertips brushing her wrist. We deserve a moment, he whispered, even if we don't get forever. We deserve a moment where joy is louder than fear. Cherry lowered her hands, and for the first time since the test, she let herself nod. A moment, not a lifetime, not a guarantee. A moment. The clinic smelled like disinfectant and mint gum. Vincent gripped the wall rail as they walked down the hallway. His legs trembled, but he refused the wheelchair the nurse offered. I'm walking, he said. Cherry slipped her hand into his. Then I'm here if you need balance. The ultrasound tech smiled gently. You two ready? Vincent laughed, soft, breathless. I don't know if ready is the word, but yes. Cherry lay back as gel was spread across her abdomen. Cool, startling. Vincent sat beside her, squeezing her hand. The screen flickered. Static, shapes, lines. Then, a heartbeat. Loud, proud, steady. Cherry gasped. Something between a sob and a laugh. Vincent covered his mouth, eyes flooding instantly. The tech moved the wand, speaking softly. There he is, a little boy. Healthy heartbeat. Cherry turned to Vincent just as he whispered, a boy. He bent forward, forehead pressed against Cherry's hand. His shoulders shook, not from sickness, from belief. He lifted his head, eyes red. Cherry, I want to live, not survive. Live, not for chemo, not out of fear, for him, for you, for us. Cherry brushed her thumb over his knuckles. I know, she whispered. I feel it. Vincent kissed her hand. Slow, reverent, not hungry, not rushed, a vow without words. When the heartbeat filled the room again, Vincent let the sound anchor him. He wasn't dying in that moment. He was becoming a father again. Back home, Cherry and Vincent sat Torvin down on the carpet. He had crayons scattered everywhere, a superhero cape tied around his pajamas. Vincent cleared his throat. Buddy, we need to tell you something important. Torvin immediately frowned. Is Daddy worse? No, Vincent said quickly. No, this is different. Cherry reached for Torvin's hands. You're going to be a big brother. Torvin froze, like his body was waiting to see if it was safe to react. Then, slowly, his face split into the biggest smile they'd ever seen. I get a teammate. Cherry nodded, laughing through her tears. Yes, baby. A teammate. Torvin launched himself forward, hugging Cherry's stomach, as if protecting it already. I'll teach him how to throw a football, and how to draw, and how to braid hair so it doesn't hurt. Daddy said, I braid like a beginner, but I'm gonna practice. Vincent laughed, a sound that cracked, then smoothed into something warm. Torvin looked up, eyes shining. I'm gonna help. I'm gonna help Daddy get strong. And I'm gonna help you with the baby. And nobody's gonna be alone, okay? Not even once. Cherry cupped his cheeks. Okay. Vincent leaned in, voice thick. You already make me stronger. Torvin crawled into both their laps, arms around them, building a circle out of bodies and love. A family, not perfect, not healed, but whole. That night, Cherry lay awake with Vincent's hand over her stomach. Not claiming, connecting. Vincent whispered, I want to teach him how to ride a bike. I want to be there on his first day of kindergarten. I want to clap at school plays. I want a second life. Cherry rested her forehead against his. Then keep choosing the next breath, she whispered back. And the next. One at a time. Vincent nodded, not dramatically, just with certainty. Outside the room, Torvin slept with a superhero cape on, just in case he needed to save something in his dreams. Cherry didn't pray out loud. She just held Vincent's hand and hoped, fiercely, like hope was fuel. If you're still here, please comment, fight for love, and help YouTube show this story to someone who needs a reason to keep going. Cherry stood at the window of Vincent's bedroom, watching morning break over Los Angeles, like the sky was breathing for them. Vincent slept in the adjustable bed near hers, oxygen tube resting against his cheek, chest rising unevenly with a rhythm that felt like a question. His hair had thinned, his skin was pale, but his presence still felt like a force in the room, like he was fighting even in his sleep. A quiet voice came from the door. "Miss Cherry?" Torvin rubbed his eyes, his Spider-Man pajama shirt twisted around him like he tried to wrestle sleep. He was 6, but on mornings like this, he looked older, like patience had aged him before joy could. Cherry crouched. "Morning, baby. What's wrong?" He swallowed hard. Daddy woke up scared again. He looked at the wall like he thought it was a door and he was going to leave. Cherry's heart clenched. She held out her hand. "He's not leaving today." They walked to the bed together. Vincent stirred, breath catching like something held him under before letting him up for air. His eyes fluttered open, and shame crossed his features before recognition softened them. Cherry sat beside him. "Hey, you're okay?" He didn't answer right away. His voice came out like gravel. "I don't know what okay feels like anymore." Torvin climbed up gently, curling into Vincent's side. "That's why we're here." "So you remember?" Vincent blinked and looked at Cherry, as if searching for proof. She placed her palm against his cheek, warm, steady. "You don't have to know how to be okay," she whispered. "Just don't try to do this alone." His throat bobbed. "I'm tired of being someone people have to carry." "You're not being carried," Cherry said. "You're being held. There's a difference." The silence afterward wasn't heavy. It felt like air returning to lungs. Breakfast was a small victory. Cherry made cinnamon rolls the way her aunt taught her in Atlanta. Butter, brown sugar, faith. Torvin stood on a stool, icing the rolls like the icing owed him rent. Vincent sat wrapped in a robe, leaning against the counter, breathing through small tremors. Cherry slid a plate toward him. "Food is strength. You need it." He smirked weakly. "I'm not used to people talking to me like I'm human before I'm wealthy." "You're not wealthy to me," Cherry said. "You're Vincent. That's worth more." It stunned him, like she said something his soul had been starving for. He looked down at the cinnamon roll, taking a careful bite. He closed his eyes. "God. I remember having taste." Torvin grinned. "That's because we love you, Daddy. Love makes food taste like magic." Vincent choked on a laugh. "You sound like you're in love yourself." Cherry shot him a look. "Don't tease him. He's too honest to play that game." Vincent nodded. "You're right. Honesty is the only thing that feels safe right now." Cherry leaned closer. "Then be honest." He stared at his plate, jaw working. "I was supposed to stop chemo this month." Cherry froze. "I signed the decline form. I couldn't do it anymore. Not when every step feels like wading through cement. Not when I feel like a ghost while still breathing." Cherry's voice cracked. "And now?" He lifted his eyes to hers. "Fear, hope, both alive. Now you make me want to be here." Torvin beamed. "See? I told God to send someone who didn't leave." Cherry cupped Vincent's hand. "You don't have to deserve love. You just have to let it in." Vincent's eyes glimmered. "I don't know how." "Then, learn with me." Later, Cherry slipped into the bathroom, hands shaking. The pregnancy test lay on the counter like it knew her future before she did. Positive. The word didn't scream. It whispered, but it shook everything. She pressed her forehead to the mirror, trying to breathe. "God, if this is a blessing, help me carry it. If this is timing, help me trust it. If this is love, help me not break it." A knock. "Cherry." Vincent's voice. "Did I scare you this morning?" She steadied herself. No, you just reminded me how much can matter. Silence. Then, soft footsteps. If I fight, will you stay, even if the worst happens? Cherry opened the door. He stood there, hoodie hanging off him, fear tucked into every corner of his face. She held his face in both hands. If you fight, I stay. If you fall, I stay. If you win, I stay double. If you lose, I'll make sure your son knows joy before grief. He leaned forward until their foreheads met. You make dying feel like living. She kissed him, slow, tender, a promise sealed, not rushed. Then live with me, she whispered. At the clinic, Vincent refused the wheelchair. He walked, trembling, gripping Cherry's arm like truth. People stared. He didn't care. For the first time, he was choosing forward. The nurse guided them to the private room. The four-stand gleamed under fluorescent lighting. The chemo drip waited. Torvin climbed into Cherry's lap. Vincent reached out. Don't let me fall asleep, he murmured. I'll hold you here, she replied. The needle went in. Vincent winced. Cherry kissed the back of his hand. Torvin hummed a lullaby off key. Vincent relaxed, eyelids fluttering. I'm scared. I know. Stay. I will. Cherry watched the drip, watched his chest rise, watched her own courage stretch to fill the room. And something inside her belly fluttered, a reminder that life was still trying. She placed her free hand there, just for a second. One heartbeat inside her, one fighting beside her. She whispered, "We're not done. Not yet." 2 weeks later, Cherry woke before sunrise. The baby pulled at her nausea, but she breathed through it. She hadn't told Vincent yet. She couldn't, not while he still fought for his own life. Vincent was in the living room, bundled under a knitted blanket. The fireplace glowed. He looked like a man learning how to return to himself. Cherry sat beside him. "You're up early." He gave a tiny smile. "Couldn't sleep. Too many thoughts jogging around my skull." She scooted closer. "Want company?" He turned his head. "Always." The word fluttered through her, soft as hands folding in prayer. They watched the fire. The quiet wasn't empty. It was healing. Vincent spoke first. "Do you ever think about the future? Or is that too heavy right now?" Cherry chose her words carefully. "I think about what tomorrow might need, not what it demands. That way, I don't break under the weight of expectations." He nodded. "I used to plan my life 5 years at a time. Now, I plan it in breaths." She reached for his hand. "Breaths are enough." His eyes searched hers. "Cherry, if I live, if the chemo keeps working, if I see my son grow up, what then? Do I have permission to want more?" "More what?" He swallowed. "More of you." Her heart lurched. She lifted his hand and kissed it. "You already have more of me than I know how to measure." Vincent blinked quickly. A tear escaped. "I want to marry someone because I love her. Not because I'm dying. Not because I'm afraid, but because choosing her feels like choosing life." Cherry froze. The room tilted, not in fear, in recognition. "Vincent, I don't want to be a goodbye you prepare for. I want to be a beginning you run to." He brushed his thumb over her knuckles. "Then don't leave." Cherry leaned in. "Then don't stop fighting." Their lips met, not rushed, not desperate. A kiss that felt like two hands holding on in the dark until they found light. The next week, Vincent had his checkup. The doctor's words weren't victory, but they weren't defeat. "Your numbers are stabilizing. Your body is responding. It's slow, but it's progress." Vincent nearly collapsed. Cherry held him. Torvin cheered. The doctor smiled gently. "There's a chance," he said. "A real one. It won't be easy, but I've seen men survive with less hope than this." Vincent looked at Cherry. "Hope isn't small anymore." She squeezed his hand. "Hope is a room we get to live in now." Outside the hospital, Vincent stopped on the sidewalk. The California air smelled like ocean and car exhaust, like life was messy but worth breathing. He turned to Cherry. "If you're still with me when I lose my hair completely, when the nausea hits harder, when I can't be the man I was, I'll know you chose me for the person, not the miracle." Cherry placed both hands on his cheeks. I didn't fall in love with your strength. I fell in love with your honesty. Strength can change. Honesty doesn't. He kissed her, gentle, shaking, brave. Torvin tugged Cherry's sleeve. Miss Cherry? Yes, baby. Can I tell you something? Always. He stood on tiptoe and whispered in her ear. I prayed for a mom who wouldn't run. Cherry's breath caught. Tears burned. She lifted him into her arms. Then I'll walk slow, so you never worry about losing me. Vincent watched them, heart in his throat. He said, voice trembling, I think I just got my second life. Cherry rested her forehead against his. Then, live it. Pregnancy fluttered beneath her ribs. She held it quietly, not hiding, just waiting for the right moment. For the day hope wouldn't scare him. That night, Vincent whispered into her hair as they lay together on the couch, Torvin asleep on his chest. If there's even one more sunrise with you, I'll take it. Cherry closed her eyes, hand resting over his heartbeat. There will be, she said softly. I believe in more than just surviving. Vincent inhaled, like her words fed him air. Cherry added, barely above a breath. This is our last chance to live, so let's live like life belongs to us. If you're still here, comment Fight for Love to help YouTube push this story out. Like, share, subscribe for more powerful stories like this. Welcome to Mr. Raisin's Stories.